Welcome into Steelers Latest, your daily spot for all news and information related to your Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm your host, Cole Denis, and please like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content to stay up to date with everything Steelers. But let's get rolling as it's another Victory Monday, second of the regular season here for the Steelers. Three weeks, 2-1 now on the season. We were hoping for 5-0. Now we can only hope for 4-1 through our first 6 weeks of the season. We're on our way there. 2-1 win against the Patriots. How did this happen? Let's do a quick overview of this game as the Steelers started very strong in this one, going up 14-0 early through the first four drives of the game. Didn't allow any points on our first two defensive drives. Steelers, on our first two offensive drives, went right up and down the field, scoring two touchdowns, giving us that 14-0 lead. Looks like we might run away with it. Guess what? We're the Steelers. That's never going to happen. We're not running away with any games here soon. That's just not the Steeler way. That's not the standard. The standard is win these games, make them as tight as possible, and see if we can hold them out late. And we did here this week as the offense went quiet for the rest of the game after the first two drives until our final offensive drive where we're trying to score. It was 14-14. Rodgers finds Calvin Austin on the back shoulder fade in the end zone to give us that 21-14 lead, where we were able to seal the deal late and pull this one out. The defense, incredible performance today, turnover-wise, forcing 5 turnovers, all of them crucial to the outcome of this game. In one-score games, turnovers are usually the reason the losing team loses in these one-score tightly contested games. More turnovers you have, the more likely you're going to come off as the loser of that game. And the Patriots showed that today. 5 turnovers for the Steelers. 4 of them happened on our side of the field, if I believe correctly. There was one in the end zone on a tip pass intercepted by Brandon Ackles. Another fumble on the goal line. A lot of fumbles from Stevenson of the Patriots today. That sucks for him. Didn't suck for us as Steelers fans, but it was huge seeing the defense come up and force those turnovers. Yards-wise, we kind of got dominated in this game, but the turnovers made up for that, and a lot of clutch plays from the Steelers in this one. 2 major players being Nick Herbig and Calvin Austin. I predicted going into this game that Nick Herbig and Calvin Austin would have an impact statement on this one through three quarters and maybe 3/4 of the fourth quarter. It looked like they were really gonna do much for me when I predicted they were gonna be impact players. And then Nick Herbig comes up clutch with the strip sack on Drake May, giving the offense back the ball in a 14-14 tie game. Calvin Austin then goes on to have 2 catches in the final drive of the game with the receiving touchdown to give us that 21-14 lead. So I'm gonna credit myself with 2 wins here. We finally hit a 2-for-2 week when it comes to predicting some impact players. So that is huge for me. Really, these two, Nick Herbig throughout the game was getting pressures. He was getting into the backfield, just couldn't really finish off any sacks or get to the quarterback fast enough to get the sack all game long until that second to last defensive drive where he was able to get the strip sack on Drake May. Calvin Austin really struggled getting open the entire game until that final drive where he was able to string together a couple catches, and the big one, of course, being the game-winning touchdown reception to the back shoulder. Perfect pass, perfect reception. Didn't screw it up. That's what we like to see. Calvin Austin being an impact player for the Steelers offense. Once again, he wasn't there most of the game, but when it came to the clutch time plays, Calvin Austin showed up, and these 2 players were a key reason the Steelers walked out of Foxborough with a win this Sunday. So thank Nick Herbig and Calvin Austin for the dub this weekend, because when we needed them most, they showed up in the biggest situations. Let's talk about some of the struggles, though, with this team. And I know we're walking out of there with a win, but we can't be biased fans here. We can't say this was a great game because we could have blown the Patriots out here. Once again, we took that 14-0 lead early. Felt like we were going to go rolling over them this week. Then everything kind of floundered passing game wise, both offensively and defensively. Aaron Rodgers' accuracy kind of struggled from the second to the fourth quarter. Wasn't looking the best out there. Still had a passer rating over 100, of course, but just didn't feel like the Rodgers we've seen in the past. Of course, he is 41 years old. How much can you expect of the vintage Rodger to show up in these games? Hopefully more than he did this week. He showed up in the big moments, of course. He did just enough to squeak out of Foxborough with the win, but how likely is it our defense is going to force 5 turnovers every week? Very likely, considering I think we've only had one going into this week. Can't rely on the turnovers too much. And that's also going to the defensive side of the ball. We allowed a shit ton of the yards in this game. I think they outscored us after the first 2 drives of the game, 300 yards to probably 100 yards. Pretty brutal, honestly. Their pass game, 13 for 13 out of halftime, Drake May went. It's unacceptable. I don't understand why the middle of the field barren out there. It feels like we never have anyone there to guard the middle of the field. No one's guarding the sticks, it feels like, on third and long. We're not swarm tackling on the dump down routes on third and long. We're letting people catch passes in the flat and still get 9, 10 yards up the field before first contact. That's going to be unacceptable. Once the turnovers go away, we're going to lose games if we're allowing third and tens longer to be picked up on flat routes. That's just not going to be the winning formula going forward. I'm keeping it honest because I want to stay positive with the win, but this win does come heavy because of the turnovers, and we can't rely on them week to week. And this defense continues to have to get better. I like seeing sacks from TJ Watt, from Cam Hayward, but we want a little bit more. Don't want to get too greedy. We had 5 sacks, 5+ sacks this week, but I want to see still more of an impact from Cam Hayward and TJ Watt. They were very good this game, but they got to keep it up going forward so we can continue to string together wins. But overall, love the performance by the defense. When it came down to clutch situations, they made every play when it mattered. I just like to see us be able to get off the field on third and longs more consistently because it is pretty terrible to feel questionable on if we're gonna stop an offense on third and 10 or longer. It feels that way so far throughout the season. We gotta get better at our third down defense because we're allowing too many first downs on third and long situations. Let's wrap up this Monday, Victory Monday, with some Monday morning comments. A couple of comments we want to take a look at from last week, some top comments. Let me pull them up real quick. First off, Omnion12. Hey, brother, great upload. Hard to find fans who tell it like they see it. How do you feel going forward? Last week, probably would have told you a different answer. That I was feeling a little more down after a win. Still feeling good about this team. I think we'll be able to string together in the next 2 games against the Vikings and the Browns. Couple more wins, send us to a 3-game win streak. And then the tough part of the schedule hits. If you're 4-1, entering that tough part, week 7, entering that tough part, you do got the Bengals twice in that tough part of the schedule. Are probably not as tough as an opponent anymore since they lost Joe Burrow. I think we can go 7-5, maybe 8-4 in that last stretch. That would put us at 11-6 or 12-5 at the end of the year. I'm feeling pretty confident. We at least got another playoff team on our hands. Am I confident in us winning a playoff game this year? Still going to have to find out. Once we hit that tougher part of the schedule is when we'll really see what this team has in the tank this year and if they can make that deep run. But going forward, I still do think we have a playoff team in Pittsburgh once again. Now, into the superfan Jay Bryan. I think this next week they will bounce back big. After that, Tomlin really needs to knuckle down. They did bounce back. Mr. Nostradamus here. The Steelers definitely bounced back this week. Defense especially bounced back this week. Finally having a good performance on the defensive side of the ball should help build confidence going forward. We saw Derek Harmon make a couple plays in his first game. We saw TJ Watt and Cam Hayward make plays in this game against the Patriots. Nick Herbig and in solid reps in replacement of Alex Highsmith. I really do think Tomlin's done a lot down on that defensive side of the ball, really get everyone strapped in and ready to go. That defense is playing like they had a chip on their shoulder this week, and they have to continue to play like that for the rest of the year. It really comes down to if Tomlin and the offensive side of the ball can continue to put together strong offensive schemes. Gonna come down to Arthur Smith and his coaching ability. I still question that most of the time. I question Arthur Smith just because he hasn't really proven much to me to be like a great NFL head coach or coordinator in this league. He really hasn't proven too much in those positions, in my opinion, yet. So it really comes down to Arthur Smith knuckling down and figuring out the offensive side of the ball because I do think Tomlin will have this defense locked and ready to go for the rest of the season. And finally, we're gonna end on a one of the funnier comments I saw last week from Beast Mode 6193. This was while I was talking about Aaron Rodgers and the possibility of him getting injured because of his old body and his old age in the league, if he can withstand the pounding he's been taking from week to week. And he said, I think you underestimate the power of Percocet. And it might be one of the funniest comments I've seen in a while. Since doing this for sure, it's one of the funniest comments I've seen. I appreciate that Beast Mode. Gave me a great laugh. And I definitely do underestimate the power of Percocet. But that has been it from Steelers Latest. I've been your host, Cole Dennis, and I will see you tomorrow.